Welcome back, everyone. It's another episode of the Steel Target Paint Podcast. We promise you more content, and we're delivering. I'm Jeff Jones. It's early Wednesday morning, and as always, my partner in crime, one of my best friends, and a great shooter, Steve Foster's with us. Steve, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Jeff. How you doing this morning?
I'm having a good morning. I've had my breakfast. It's a little earlier than usual for me to be up this morning, but you know what? We got to do it because this is when we can record. So
sounds good. Well, we've got a special guest. We talked a little bit about it a week or so ago. Headed up to Metal Madness in Kentucky. So we've got the founder of Metal Madness, Ed White. How you doing this morning, Ed?
I'm doing better than I deserve, Steve. How are y'all this morning?
Welcome, Ed. Thanks for joining us. So, Steve, I have yet to been able to shoot Metal Madness, but like you said, you got a chance to shoot it last week. Put you on the spot. First impression.
I think my first impression overall after shooting the match and even while shooting the match is I think it's a fun sport or game to get shooters involved. It's something different, nothing like anything else that I've ever shot before. But as I looked down the firing line on the right of me, on the left of me, I was definitely the old guy there. There was a lot of youngsters shooting. And, my man Aiden from up in Pennsylvania, he shot with me most of the weekend. And I think Aiden's 10 or 11. And, it was a great family atmosphere. And somebody like him could be competitive without getting frustrated. I know that there's some shooting sports that claim that they're for promoting of the Second Amendment and getting new shooters into the sport. Nah, that's what Metal Madness really is. Or you could have somebody that's a seasoned competitor like myself go out there and have a great time. So I think that, again, my first impression is had a blast. I'll talk a little bit more about my revolver. Okay, Jeff, since you asked me about it, there's been some talk about Steel Challenge having a revolver division for 22, and it's probably the most fun that I've had shooting anything in a long time. It was a brand new gun. I'd sighted it in before, but to shoot that in a competition and overall I felt like I shot it pretty well. Man, it just re-energized me in the shooting sports. It's just something different. And again, the family atmosphere, shooting my revolver, and I ended up shooting 3 guns. Initially signed up for 6, which are all divisions. But, Ed quickly talked me out of, well, he didn't talk me out of it, but Steve, you sure that's something you want to do? Because I would have been shooting pretty much all day, which, having a booth for the first time, it's probably not a good decision. So I shot all 3 open divisions: rimfire rifle open, rimfire pistol open, and then revolver open. So it was an absolute blast. My daughter had a blast. But again, I think my biggest takeaway while shooting the match and after shooting the match was it was easy to shoot. I'm not saying that the target presentations weren't challenging, but again, somebody that had a little experience shooting could do so and do well, and not leave targets left out there. But no, it was a great family atmosphere, and I think it is highly addictive for a lot of people. When we talk a little bit about the airsoft, I think my daughter or myself owes Andy like $30 in BBs because my daughter was shooting that all weekend. But anyway, Jeff, it was a good time.
Well, great. So you mentioned a couple of things there that I want to address, and Ed, please chime in here. So you mentioned that there's 6 divisions and you shot 3 of them. So you've heard rimfire rifle open, rimfire pistol open, and revolver open. Of course, all those are with a red dot. What are the other 3 divisions?
It's the same thing. You have a pistol, rifle, and then a revolver. I think he calls it a stock division, and all it really means is it's an iron sight division. You can use a chassis and those types of things, but it's just a stock division.
Okay, and this is all rimfire.
Yes, we shot all
For
rimfire
now-
this
for
weekend.
now.
There was no sunfire. Yeah. Breaking out the Steel Target Pay podcast. Tell us more, Edward.
Well-
Did we lose Ed?
No,
Oh.
Ed's there, and you're going a little digital, but I'm going to leave it in because I think it's funny.
What I'd like to kind of maybe announce on y'all's podcast is starting in January, we originally started with centerfire, and everybody just kind of weaned themselves off of centerfire because of the cost of ammo, or you know, just center rimfire guns are just so cool now with tandem cross and all the chassis, you know, that Crazy Ivan and Weiland, and they just make the guns so much cooler. So they kind of weaned it off. So we went strictly rimfire for a few years there, but then we did a kind of a partnership with SASP, and in order to fit into their footprint, we have reviewed it, and starting in January, we're going to bring back the centerfire pistol and the PCC, the Metal Madness.
Now, will that be from a draw or from a low ready?
It'll all be low ready, Jeff. Metal Madness, you're basically in a box,
Yep.
and drawing is just unsafe.
Okay. Well, it's unsafe in the environment that you've set up for how you're shooting. You're not
Yes,
saying
for
that.
our sport.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine. No, it makes sense. I saw some of the videos, and so I understand that. Now, let's just step back. What was your inspiration for creating this new sport, this new discipline?
Well, I tell everybody it was a gift from God, because I'm not this smart. We've been shooting guns since the 1700s in this country, and you know, I'm just not that smart. And Steve will attest to that.
That's true, Jeff.
I started this range. I mean, I live in the town that I live in is, well, I live outside of the town, but it has a population of 302. And we're actually kind of on an island between Kentucky and Barkley Lake, the Tennessee and Cumberland River, and then to the north of us is 6 miles is the Ohio River. So we actually kind of live on a island, and I started the gun range to give concealed carry class with just 5 little bitty lanes, and insurance with the homeowners come up, and I had to get in an insurance for the gun range. And I thought, well, since I got to have insurance, I'd just as well open it to the public. And all my buddies that I had coffee with every morning belly laughed. They said, man, you live in Kentucky in the country. There's nobody going to join your range. By the way, you know, okay, that's no big deal. And within a few months, we had like 50 members, because yes, they have places to shoot, but not in any kind of organization. And I'm an old guy. I shot back in the days when Second Chance and the Masters was what everybody was shooting. So we shot a bunch of bowling pins in my day.
Okay.
I didn't know anything about Steel Challenge or anything. I mean, I knew about it, but hadn't followed it. So we had built some paper targets, and we got some members coming in and got a little cramped. So I decided to add on 10 lanes. And I'd looked at other disciplines and not knowing the setup and I mean, this is in my backyard. It's literally about 60 steps from my back door to my range. And
Oh, Jesus, here we go. I've got a home range. You fit right in with a podcast ad. I mean,
but I got a fairly good sized backyard, Jeff. So.
Okay.
So I built it, and I had put it up, and I was sitting out there one day on a bucket, a 5-gallon bucket, and I'm looking at it going, what am I going to do with this? You know? And I just kind of had this deal. So I put all these steel 5 lanes of steel targets up. Then they were 12 inches by 20 inches. And it was just, there was no rhyme or reason to it. You know, I mean, it was just, how you going to shoot this with anything? and we started putting numbers on them, and we didn't think anything of it. And we do a lot of things for our community. We have fundraisers for, a lot of different community events. And we were having one where we buy shoes for the underprivileged kids. And some of the people that had shot in the past came out to the event, and they said, "Hey, brother, you're on to something." And I'm like, yeah, it's good. And as it kind of went on and developed, kind of thought maybe I was. So we started really coming up with a sport, and we started, that was in the fall of 2014. And for 4.5 years, we just developed it. I mean, we just worked out the bugs, and Steve will argue with me, but we got the bugs worked out with it. So
yes, I will, Ed, but we'll leave
I
that
know
till later.
and it took some time. Well, we decided a couple years ago, hey, we're ready to take this on the road. I mean, literally. And we built a mobile range, and I bought a coach, and we pulled it around and started it, and thought that was the way to get it to the public. We did the NRA World Shoot in 2019 as a side event. We do some things for the SASP and the nationals and things with our mobile range. The problem with the mobile range is it's just so costly to take it that we have to have a big audience, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just try to do the bigger events with it. So without chasing too many rabbits, that's kind of how it started. I have 4 shooting houses with combined here in the backyard that has 200 targets in it. This last weekend, and I'm bragging on my wife and daughter, they keep this thing so organized, and I think Steve will attest to how organized it is. We shot 411 guns, and we're done by 3:30 each day. Each day we shot over 400 guns, and we were done by 3:30 each day.
Wow. So let's see, 400 guns at $100 a gun. That's a pretty good weekend.
Actually, it's $30 a gun.
Hey, Jeff, let me step in here because I
Absolutely
do think that Ed's wife, Teresa, or as he calls her, Mrs. T, she is really the glue that holds that box together. They did a fantastic job this past weekend, keeping everybody on point, even when somebody screwed up and shot the wrong gun during the time when he should have shot the other. I don't know who the heck would do such a thing as that. But you know what's worse? You know what's worse than that, Jeff? Doing that twice in the weekend. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I thought.
Not that I would give anybody's name, Jeff, but his initials are Steve Foster. Just saying.
So man. Okay, so you got 4 shoot houses, and each shoot house has how many lanes?
10
lanes.
50 targets combined.
Okay. So wait a minute, 40 or 50?
There's 50 targets.
Okay. So do you have
one of them,
I'm trying to figure out the math here. 4 shoot houses times 10 lane is 40.
Can I take a shot? Can I take a shot at it, Ed?
Yes, sir, please.
All right. So each shoot house has 10 lanes.
Okay.
So each lane has an array of 5 targets. So Ed,
okay.
Yeah,
I got you. Okay. Yeah, I'm understanding it now. So
and I posted something really quick in Rimfire Race Guns, and I'll do a better job maybe this week or next week and kind of lay it out there a little bit, because I think I've had 88 people in the last 24 hours ask me how I like Metal Madness and how it shot. So,
well, what you need to do is direct them to this podcast and have them listen.
So, I will.
Okay, so in each shoot house, you've got 10 lanes. In each lane, you've got 5 targets.
Yes, and and there are varying distances between, and Ed, correct me, 10 and 25 yards. So you've got targets at 10 yards, 15, 20, and 25. The 10-yard target, there could be a target on there or not. You could have all 5 targets at 25 yards. And so there's really an infinite amount of target presentations, but we'll get into that here in a second. But each lane is only shot one time. So unlike
okay, that was my next question. Yeah,
yeah.
that was going to be my next question.
Yep, you shoot. You've got 5 shooters out of the 10 lanes. You know, per. I think Ed does that because you only want 1 RO to handle 5 shooters. If you have 1 RO for 10, it may be a little bit too much to keep things under control. Not that there was any issues; everybody was safe, and so on and so forth. But each person shoots their lane. Are you ready? Stand by. And then the RO actually, which I really, really like, Jeff, calls back the time. And if you had any sort of misses, calls back the time to the person, the shooter. But also what they're doing is that Ed's wife and several other office staff are in a nice air conditioned facility, and they've got a program that they've created just for for Metal Madness.
Mm-hmm.
And they're calculating the times as they go, which they did a great job with.
Okay, so I shoot 1 string on lane 1, 1 string on lane 2, and I go down the line. I'm all set. What happens then?
Each one of those is called a pass. So a pass is a group of shooters that shoot the house, and you do that. I don't know, Ed, how many passes were there? 20 or so, something like that throughout the 2 days?
600 and some.
Oh, was it? Okay.
It's a pass is each individual. And another thing that we're going to debut on Steel Target Paint podcast is that because of connection that Mr. Foster did with Alex, we're going to go to the Bluetooth, so it will go through the AMG timer, and our program is adopted to it, and we'll be able to see it real time, and it'll post immediately.
All right.
That's in the awesome works. I appreciate Steve. Seriously, had you not put me in touch with Alex, who's an awesome guy, it would have been light years away for us,
My pleasure. And I noticed you guys were using the timers all weekend and didn't have a single issue flawless with the timers it was flawless, which it's pretty refreshing. Oh, sorry, I didn't get that. Could you reshoot? You know what I mean? Yeah,
not one reshoot.
Not a single one
reshoot.
Yep.
The game, the sport is just to kind of give you an idea, if I might interject this in here. The sport is just that. It's a shooting sport. It's not a competition. Now, it can be. And like Steve came up here, shot it his first time. I hate to say it where he can hear me, but he did an outstanding job. Most people don't adapt as well as he did. He shot in the master category, which there's only 2 above him. And most do not do that, especially when they're shooting other disciplines as much. They try to shoot Metal Madness like the other discipline they shoot, whatever that is. And Steve, you've got to agree with me. I would think that Metal Madness is its own animal.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And the biggest challenge that we have with the shooters that shoot other disciplines, be it Steel Challenge, SASP, 3-Gun, IDPA, who we all endorse and support and want to see our shooters go from other places to that. The reason we call ourselves a sport and not a competition is because, as Steve will attest to you, I'm going to jack with you with the target array. There's over 60,000 ways I can hang each one of these shoot houses, and you're never going to get onto it as far as what it's going to be each time. Do you agree with that, Steve? Now you shot it?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, on the surface, like, oh yeah, okay, you got 12-inch plates and 12-inch, whether they're round or they're square plate. But what Ed and the team there did is, I mean, you'd have, I would say, a fairly decent array of targets, meaning they had some easier, some not too many easy. I think there was maybe one or two lanes per, pass, if you would. Yep, that were relatively on the faster side, but you couldn't take them for granted because, he would stack plates. So out at 20 yards, there was one lane that we shot. I think it was at 20 yards. You could probably only see 3 inches, maybe 4 inches of one of the square plates, which was a pretty, you had to be a very diligent shooter. Or there was the trap where you had 2 plates right just about next to each other. Then you had to shoot through those 2 plates to hit the stop plate. So yeah, you couldn't jerk the trigger, especially on my 10-pound trigger pull revolver. You had to be very diligent with the trigger press to get those. So the other thing, Jeff, that we may have glanced over is that in each lane with the 5 targets, the first 4 are numbered. So you have to shoot the plates in order. So if you hit a wrong plate out of order, you have to pick up with the one that you missed and then shoot it out of the last plate that doesn't have anything on it. It's the stop plate. So that's what stops your time.
Okay. So now does one person go through all 10 passes, or
all 5 do?
Pardon?
We all 5 shooters shoot each lane. What we'll do is we'll start the 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There's 10 lanes.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason we use 5 is we can't watch. The safest person on our range is the guy that's shooting, the person that's shooting.
Sure.
The other 4, it's just that 1 second they go, did I do that? You're not allowed to touch your firearm. It has to be on the deck once you move until the RO comes to you and says, make ready. But it's that one guy that goes, did I load that? Did I put it in the chamber? And he reaches down there. So the RO has to watch the 4. For the most part, we're only going to give the shooter a couple seconds of our time to see whether he hit it or whatever. The rest of the time we're watching the other 4. But between each lane, you have to clear your firearm, put a flag in it, take your mag out. It gives you time to reload. And every time you move, the firearm's cleared and flagged.
Gotcha. Okay, so now I've shot 10 passes. My squad, the 5 people I'm with, we've shot 10 passes. What happens then? Do I get scored on my 10 strings?
Yeah, you take 8 of the 10.
Okay, so you get 2 mulligans.
Yes.
Okay.
And the program automatically kicks them out. You don't.
Okay.
It just automatically kicks them out. So you get your 8 best times for that lane, and it gives you, I don't know, Steve, you were shooting what, under in the low 20s, weren't you?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I've got some people that are shooting rifles in the 14s. Seconds, 8 lanes in 14 seconds. It's pretty fast. Some of them are.
Mm-hmm.
And it posts it. We print it out and post it so you can automatically go look at it. Usually by the time you get your firearm put away, the girls has got it posted for you. And then on a shootout, now in a regular match, you just keep your best score for the day. You can reshoot as many times as you like with that firearm. But on a shootout, you only get to 1 shot, 1 lane, 1 gun, 4. You actually shoot the same firearm 4 times over the 2 days. And then they take them 4 times, add them together, and then we take the brackets. We have 6 brackets, so everybody gets a score. Starts at marksman, goes to metal master. They add them together, they multiply them times per bracket times 4, and that gives you a standing for the 2 days.
Okay, so now are the 4 shoot houses with each having 10 lanes, are they set up the same way? Is pass one at each shoot house set up the same?
But shoot house 1 and shoot house 3 are set up the same. Shoot house 2 and shoot house 4 are set up the same way. And you will only shoot 2 shoot houses. You'll shoot like what did you shoot day one, Steve? Like 1 and 3, 1 and 2, or
Yeah, I shot. I actually shot 3 and 4, and then on Sunday I shot 1 and 2.
okay. But 3 and 4 were set up just like 1 and 2. So everybody's even. You know, the guy in shoot house 3 doesn't have an easier shooting lane than the guy in shooting house 4. It's identical.
So they were all identical this weekend.
No. 2 of them were the same this weekend, yes. So because we could split them up that way and shoot, we had 400 guns we had to run through. So we,
Right.
you know.
Oh, so you okay? So okay. I'm getting more and more understanding here. So, Steve said he was shooting rimfire pistol.
Uh-huh.
And for sake of argument, let's just say he shot that when he was in shoot house 1. Okay. Would there be somebody, and you said 1 and 3 were the same this weekend, and then 2 and 4 were the same, but they were different than 1 and 3. Is that correct?
That is correct. And different, the more movement makes it more difficult. So
Sure. So
1 and if he shot 1 and let's say he shot 3 and 4, he would not have shot 1 and 3 because they would have been the same. He would have had to shot 1 and 2 or 3 and 4. You see what I'm getting at?
I think so, because so in a session for a gun, are you shooting 2 houses or are you just shooting 1 house?
In the shootout, you shoot 2 houses each day, each gun.
There you go. That's right. So for a gun, Steve shot 20 passes.
Yes.
Correct? Okay. I'm getting it.
In another way to say it, Jeff, is like house 1 had smoking out, roundabout, showdown, and accelerator. Shoot house 3 had those same 4 stages, if you will, to use skill challenge terms.
Right. Okay.
It's just duplicated to get more people through.
No, it makes sense. Well, I'm trying to understand too, because he's got a level of shooting prowess, classification, if you will. He said going from marksman to metal master. And of course that's based on speed. But that would differ based on which lane, which passes you shot, which configuration of plates.
Right. It wouldn't be fair for us to go put 4 different set of targets up and have everybody shoot it. And Steve may be shooting 2 more difficult. Here, there's 10 lanes down there. So typically how we set one up each time is we'll put 4 lanes that were somewhat difficult. We'll put 3 lanes that are medium difficult, and we'll put 3 lanes that what we call easy. Like there's you'll see some that's like, we call it climbing the stairs. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, stop. We have one come down the stairs, backwards, where you start out at 1 and come down. We have some that are all conglomerated together, where it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then are all within 15 yards of each other. Them have less movement, so it makes them typically faster. Although most of them get in a hurry and they take it for granted and they'll miss one, which is a 3-second penalty soon to be. It's 2 seconds now, but in January it's going to 3. So you get, if you miss it and keep going, you get a 3-second penalty, and that'll mess your time up as well. You can shoot it under 2 seconds and get a penalty, and now it's 5 seconds.
Right. So, and as you pointed out, they must be hit in order. So if I shoot plate 1, miss plate 2, shoot plate 3, I have to, and I want to finish the string without any penalties, I have to go back and shoot plate 2 then
Then three.
shoot plate 3 again.
Right. That's called a self-imposed penalty.
Well, there would, if I did that, there wouldn't be any penalty, would there?
Well, no, other than the time it took you to correct it.
Of course. Okay, I've got it.
Yeah. And if you shoot them out of order, then that's a 30-second. We call it a no time.
Mm-hmm. Now, have you considered, you said you've got, 60,000 configurations.
Mm-hmm.
Have you considered, and you've got, like I said, you've got this ranking system, but it's based on, like, if Steve came and shot it there this weekend, his rank is now based on those stages that were set up that weekend. And when he goes there again, there's a pretty good chance there's going to be in a different configuration.
No, it's going to be. It will never be the same. He will never shoot that intentionally. He'll never shoot what he shot this weekend again.
Okay. And so it's always just going to be based on that. There, you haven't decided to go with any standards for a classification.
We have not, because see, Steve shot 3 guns, and to his credit, he left in the master class in all 3 guns. And to be honest with you, he shot way better than I expected, because he shoots so much of the Steel Challenge discipline.
Sure.
And it is, instead of being vertical, it's horizontal, and it's just, he adapted well. And boy, it's killing me to throw all these flyers where he can do it.
Oh, trust me, I know where you're coming from.
Here's the challenge, and there's definitely some strategy that I won't lay out to everybody else, but the interesting part, shooting, whether it's rimfire challenge or steel challenge or USPSA, there's a lot of horizontal movement in transitions. Metal Madness is not that. It is primarily vertical transitions, which offers a whole different level of shooting. But the other challenge is, if you haven't done it before, and I admit it took me a little bit to get used to it, is figuring out how to somewhat transition the gun in a seamless fashion from, up, down, over, and shoot those plates in order. And I was kidding with somebody. I mean, the first couple times I shot, I was like, okay, I just shot 2. Now, which one am I shooting again? And so people like my daughter and other people have a lot easier time keeping that stuff together. But I think the other part that is very interesting that we see from time to time, like when we talk about training in Steel Challenge, one of the most difficult shots for a lot of people to hit if they shoot pendulum from left to right is the blind transition coming from plate 1 to plate 2. And in Metal Madness, there's a ton of blind transition. So you kind of don't know, the target kind of appears because you can't really look past it because your hand's in the way. So I think that was the challenge as well from a shooting perspective. But, I think overall, and I wasn't that close to all the shooters, but I saw Kaylee Shaner. I think she walked away with a few dog tags or medals, but she came away with 4. She shot her open pistol, I think, like 18 seconds. And I think I shot close to her. I think I was off by 0.73 seconds. But she took first place. But yeah, she did exceptionally well. But there was a lot of, it was very tough, because anytime that I tried to open it up, shoot like a 1.6 or 1.7, man, it was tough to put it all together. But it was, from that aspect, extremely challenging.
You're going to get it next time, Jeff. We go to great lengths to not be like the other sports.
Sure.
I notice, and listen, I'm a big advocate. I'm going this weekend to Talladega to the Nationals, whatever. I don't even know exactly. That's a shame. But next weekend, we're going to go over to Rimfire Worlds. We support all the shooting sports. We're a gateway to the shooting sports. But what Metal Madness will do will make you think. It will make you engage. and we're our three enforced rules here is safety, safety, safety. You must have fun. Safety, safety, safety.
Mm-hmm.
Them are the three that we do. It is hard. It is a sport, and you can compete at it, but you're only competing with yourself, and you're competing with the people that are at the same bracket skill set that you are. And if we start putting out, this is the setup for the week, then we're pretty much just like every other shooting discipline.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
We have partnered up with Ruger, and I can't, with an NDA and things. There's some things I can't discuss, but future we'll do. And one of the things that Ruger liked about it the most is it kind of shows what they're doing,
Right.
you know? And you got to be engaged with it, don't you, Steve?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a different style of shooting, but again, I go back to where we started off. I think it's brilliant from the aspect of you could have somebody out there that's 85, which we had, or somebody that's 9 or 10 years old that's shooting a gun for the first time. It's a safe environment. It's easy to shoot. When I say easy to shoot, it's easy that you're not shooting 10 shots and you only hit one target from a difficulty perspective. But in order to shoot it well, there's a lot of room. There's a lot of room in there to master the sport, if you will. But I think the other part, we haven't talked about it yet. The other part that I thought was really cool, and I understand why somebody like a Ruger is very interested in it, because it really is a gateway. It's perfect for somebody that may have little gun handling ability or so on and so forth. Certainly want to make sure you're safe, but it's easy to get started into. And there's a lady that I met there, Tara. How long has Tara been shooting for? A couple months, maybe, somewhere in there.
In July, she did not own a firearm.
But Tara's the perfect example of what we're talking about. She's probably maybe mid-20s, somewhere in there. But she's somebody that has not really shot a gun much or ever, and has come in, and she got bit by the bug, Jeff. She's buying guns and buying ammo, and she's just all in.
I have no idea. What is that like, Steve? Can you explain what that feels like?
But it's something.
One of the things that does my heart good, Jeff, is I watch Steve Foster and Vanessa shoot together.
Yep.
I watch grandpa, grandma, mom, and dad. Nobody sits on the bench in Metal Madness. It's designed that way.
Mm-hmm.
And last year, I have a gun range in a town, and I'm not bragging. I'm amazed. Okay, so please don't take this as arrogance, but I have a gun range in a town of 302 residents. The county that I live in does not have a stoplight in it. It's 9,200 people. There's not a stoplight in the county. It's one of the poor counties in Western Kentucky, and we have 749 paid members at our range from as far away as St. Louis and Memphis. So, and it's not my personality they come to do.
Oh yeah, definitely not that, Jeff.
Beautiful.
Because it's something that you don't have to have. And one of the things that there are no gun, you don't have to have special guns. There's no real rules on it as long as they're safe.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a little girl, she's 16 years old. She shoots a lever action Henry, and she shoots it well. And you got something in your closet that you can shoot it with. Each year, last year, 2020, even with the COVID pandemic, we introduced more than 300 people to the shooting sports at my range that had never shot before. 300 people. because it's not intimidating.
Agree.
Wow.
And here's the other thing, Jeff, that, you know, you have these 10 lanes to shoot. And I heard ahead of time, yeah, you really need 10 mags and blah, nonsense. You can go there with a gun with one magazine. And there's plenty of time to load between lanes. So you need a gun, one magazine, and some Ely ammunition found at stevefostershootingsports.com. You like that, Jeff?
I love the shameless plug. I'm all about them. So that's awesome.
You missed one thing you need really too. You need a Tupperware bowl to hold your Ely ammunition in.
There you go. There you go. But Ed, also the other thing that I wouldn't say necessarily surprised, but I didn't expect it, is how many states were represented. I saw people from all over there.
In this event here in the shootout this week, we had 17 states represented. In June, when we had our first shootout, in our spring shootout, we had 22 states represented. One as far away as Alaska. Miss Jessica Smith joined us.
Oh, sweet.
Wow.
And they were aged literally from Richard, he's 83 years old. That shot in this one. Did you meet Richard, Steve?
Yes, I did.
He's 83 years old, and we had a 8-year-old, Adam White, the one that Aiden White, who won a bullet and a gun. He won a Tippmann, an MMSSA Tippmann.
Oh, he's 8. His brother Adam must have been 10 or 11. 12? Yeah.
12.
They're out of Pennsylvania, I think.
And they live 11 miles from Binghamton, New York.
Yep. I know exactly where that is.
They and we had them, and Andy with Airsoft, he come in from Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So wait, Airsoft, is there an Airsoft division as well?
There is, and we spent a couple years getting it. And one thing Ed White don't need is another sport to run. So we made it where we have these airsoft versions of Metal Madness in shopping malls, and they'll go about anywhere. And if you shoot a Metal Madness event at a full scale Metal Madness indoor airsoft range, the scores that you produce are equal to the rimfire range that you shoot outside.
Okay.
So, there in Florida in the summertime when nobody can breathe, you could put one in and shoot it and compete and still be posted just like you could if you were outdoors.
Wow, that's great. Now, I want to step back here. We talking about this month and the monthly event. That's at your home range. Kills me to say that. But
it's in my backyard, Jeff.
It's in your backyard. I would joke and say, well, I have a pool, and Steve was like, well, so do I, and a goat, and a barn.
That's right.
I can't win. I don't even try. I don't even try anymore. But you've all, like we talked about it. You've got a portable version of this.
I do.
And you said it's the cost effectiveness of that, but if a ranger were interested in saying, well, gee, I think this is great, I'd like to try to get Ed to come out to my range and set it up, how much room is needed at a range to do this? Sounds like we need at least 25 yards.
You need a bay of 25 yards, and you need it to be at least 40 feet wide.
Okay.
And that's the one thing about it that we're awful proud of is it takes up 40 feet by 80 feet for a range, and you don't have to, it's there. And the mobile range is the same footprint as a regular range. Actually, Oleg Volk took a lot of tremendous photos, and he used our mobile range as the backdrop. It was kind of his private studio.
Very cool. Now, if anybody is interested in trying to get you to come out to their range, what's the best way for them to contact you?
Contact me through the website, mmssa.net.
Okay.
The phone number that's on that, I can give you my phone number. It's my cell number. And here lately, it's been ringing a lot thanks to the Steve and them, and the social media has been outstanding on the last event we had. They can call me, they can email me. I really kind of suck at I'm 60 years old, so this technology is kind of rough on me. The IMs or whatever they call it on social media, I will answer you, but it's hard. I don't see them too often. You know, it's usually a couple hours before I get back to them.
Sure. Well,
But
they've got
yeah,
a way to contact you, and they way to get the information. That's MMSSA. Was that it?
MMSSA.net.
.net.
And you can always reach out to Steve. I hope you don't mind, Steve, and Steve will get you contacted. Me and him talk.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
He and I talk every week at least. And
Well,
we have a Facebook page, Metal Madness, on Facebook.
Okay, so there you're on Facebook, so you've got some social media going there, Ed. So you know that's cool. That's cool.
We have Instagram. Like I said, I need somebody to run it for me. My daughter, I think, is going to take it over. Hank.
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Yeah. Well, Steve, any parting comments about Metal Madness?
Yeah, one other quick question for you, Ed, because I'm not sure if people know this. How many ranges is Metal Madness in today?
Right now, we have actually got 9 ranges: Duncan, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Kentucky, and Illinois. That number is growing quickly. I've had they took a half of an airsoft range for fundraiser down not too far from you, Steve. And they called me and said, you know, this is awesome. So there'll be the airsoft we have packages, you can home range it, or you can do fundraisers. And the SASP is they're going out and raising money for their teams using the airsoft, because it can be set up at a banquet or whatever, churches, schools. Actually, another thing I just learned yesterday from Rick Leach, that Alaska has agreed to put our airsoft in their school system, much like the archery.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, and is the airsoft the same distances? It sounds to me like it might be a little more compressed.
It is. It's 51 feet versus 75 feet because of the speed of the round. But it's still a 12 by 12 target.
Yep.
And it's fun, isn't it, Steve? It's surprising.
Oh, it is so addictive. And Andy with the airsoft was there. They make a giggle switch for those things, Jeff, and they've got a high capacity magazine. Oh, that's almost as fun as shooting a fully automatic MP5. I mean, it was just a riot. A riot, Jeff.
And I'm sending you one, Steve. You know, you got away without taking one, so I'm gonna send it to you.
Sounds good. And what's Andy's company? Lancer Tactical, is that
Lancer
right?
Tactical. We did a partnership with them, and they're actually building some Metal Madness guns. Like Tippmann builds an M4. Tippmann's an awesome gun. I'm gonna throw those. And they build an M4 with our brand on it, and have for the last 2.5 years. And now Lancer is going to build some airsoft M4s. It's not a 1022, but it looks a lot like it. And then they've got some 1911 style and some Mark IV style green gas guns that they're building for us as well, with our brand on it.
Fantastic.
And so the other thing, Jeff, to conclude from my perspective, 2 things. One is that, you know, there's some great sponsors down there. You know, we talked about Lancer Tactical. And I'm kind of going order around the horn. Excuse me. So you had the airsoft set up with Lancer Tactical with Andy. Then of course you had Brian with Hunter's HG Gold and the Magical Mystery Tour van. Tandem Cross was set up.
Which, but let me throw in, is now Hunter's Gold HD is our official eyewear as of this weekend.
Excellent.
And then for the first time, my company, Creekside Custom, we were set up. Wyland USA showed up on Sunday. You had Crazy Quail. And what's the 1911? Is it Devil Dog Arms? Ed?
Devil Dog, who also owns Crazy Quail.
Okay.
SKs are ammo.
It wasn't intentional that I left off another ammo company. I'm just saying.
Hey, we shoot Ely. We like all ammo, man.
I know. I'm just busting with it.
All are welcome. All are welcome. Like you said, you just got to be safe.
Jeff, there's one other thing that was probably a little bit different than mainstream media. You know, Sydney Valfarock sang the national anthem to start off both days, which,
okay,
man, the hair on my arms is standing up. She did an exceptional job. But the other thing is, Ed reached out to me and he wanted to do something for the 13 families of the fallen soldiers in Afghanistan. So we partnered up and made dog tags with their names on it and, the fallen soldier cross on the front. And Ed, how much money did we raise this weekend for those families? We
raised $800. It was $798, 700 something, and I made it that, and then Metal Madness kicked in. I wrote a check to them yesterday for $1,000.
That's amazing.
Wow, that's great.
And it will go, every dollar of it will go to them. And and it's not just for the 13, they're the ones that's fresh. We do not leave Americans behind, not trying to get political. We have to support the people that lost their lives.
Well, this has been amazing, Ed. Is there anything you'd like to add here at the end?
Thank you guys just for bringing awareness to Metal Madness. We need more ranges. It's free to get a range. You just got to pay the cost to build the shoot house. It's an affiliation. Doesn't cost anything to be an affiliate. There's a website portal charge and a scoring but that's theirs. We don't take any shooters fees from the ranges. We make our money by associations members, which is $25 a year. And just let's put some ranges out there. We don't compete with anybody. We're like no one else. We support it. We're the gateway to the shooting industry. We hope to just keep more people shooting.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, Ed, we really appreciate you being on the call. And Steve, of course, having shot us first one and we've got the background from Metal Madness and we've now got a first shooter's experience of Metal Madness. And, Kentucky's quite a hike for me, but who knows? You never know. I might be able to get out there for a match or, we've got a different kind of setup at the Wyoming Antelope Club. Where we don't really have a shoot house, but there's a couple of other ranges down here that do. And somehow I think if I were to say, hey, Ed, I'd like to see you come out to the Wyoming Antelope Club and figure out how you could set something up, we could work it out. We'd
probably do something on that base, Jeff.
Yeah. Our bays aren't 25 yards, but again, I think that you can look at it and go, okay, this might not be an official Metal Madness type thing, but it doesn't mean you can't work it out for people to enjoy this discipline.
Send me some pictures. We'll work it out.
You got it. Sounds good. Well, Steve, another one in the books. It's about 7:30, which means you're probably rolling into work pretty soon.
Oh yeah.
So let's end this one here. Oh, wait a minute. You know what? We always end the podcast. I think we forgot to do it a couple of times. What is that discount code from Steel Target Paint?
It's ST Podcast 10 to get 10% off of anything at rangestore.net.
All right. Sounds good. Well, Ed, thank you. Steve, always a pleasure talking with you. We're going to get this posted up today and get this information out to everyone to learn more about Metal Madness.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you very much.
Thanks for your time, Ed.
Bye-bye. Wait. Guys, we're back. I hope you didn't cut off. Steve, tell me about this prize table that they have at these matches.
So it was interesting. It's kind of a bingo style ball random draw kind of deal, and I think Ed was saying it was $10,000 or $12,000 somewhere in there from a prize table perspective. It was strong and it was deep. There was multiple guns from Tippmann and Ruger, and Vortex stepped up. CWA had some certificates. Weiland had chassis and barrels. I mean, it was probably one of the best prize tables for this size of match I've been to in the last couple of years. So thank you to the sponsors. My daughter walked away. I think she was number 20 or something like that. She walked away with a $1,300 Vortex scope. So I'm not sure what kind of gun she wants to put that on, but thank you again to all the sponsors. And the random prize table had all levels and ages of competitors walking away with some really, really cool stuff.
Our sponsors are awesome. We had a solid $11,000 worth of prizes from Devil Dog, and I mean everybody. It was awesome.
If you told me that prize table was 15 or 20,000, I wouldn't have batted an eye, because just based on how deep it was by the time I got up there, as well as Vanessa got up there were still prizes up there 20, 30 spots down that were a couple $100 worth all day.
We didn't
So
actually
awesome.
give them all away. We kept some of them. We'll give them away next time. Yeah, we'll give them away next match.
That's awesome.
Heck yeah. Thanks again, Ed. Appreciate your time this morning.